Welcome back to Fickle Sports. It is that time of the week again. It is score prediction time and it's game week 22. I'm Gary, joined as always by the unlovely assistant Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, other than your unoriginal intro. It's like you're more insulting yourself than you are me right now.
As long as you don't dress up as a magician's assistant, then we'll be fine.
I don't think I have the body for that.
But score predictions, how did we get along last week?
Yes, before we get into that, as always, first of all, we just wanted to say a quick thank you to every single one of you guys that take part in all our videos. We appreciate every single one of you. Now, scores from last week. Gary and I, we both did really badly. We both did really, really badly. We got 4 each.
I don't know why I was hoping for more, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, it was dreadful. We got 4 each, which takes our scores to the month, and the month ending scores of 32 for me and 18 for you. But Gary, just to let you know, even if I take away the weeks where you didn't put in any predictions, I still beat you. I want you to know that.
I have no saving grace. I mean, I performed badly anyway. But on to the subscriber scores. What happened?
Yes, the winner this week is our resident Aston Villa fan. It is Cole. Well done, Cole. Very well done to you.
First up for the game week is Sheffield United versus West Bromwich Albion. And I can't stress how big of a game this is, you know, for the relegation battle, 6-pointer. You know, it's been made worse by the fact that Brighton and Newcastle both won in the previous game week. That it's the pressure is really on, and I feel for Sheffield United, if they lose this, I 100% don't see a way back. I really, really don't. You know, if they lose this, 16 games left, they would almost have to get 2 points per game for the rest of the season, which is a very difficult task. So if they win this against West Brom, there's a chance. There is a chance. You don't want the rest of the season to be an absolute dead rubber. And I'm hoping, you know, they won one game out of the last 2 in Manchester United against Man City. It was tough. They still managed to frustrate Man City, but what I didn't like was the defending for that goal. You know, they had a million times where they could cut out that Ferran Torres in that goal, and somehow Jesus was left like 3 yards away from goal with, you know, a simple tap in. And other than that, like, they limited Man City, but if you can see chances like that, then it's going to be a bad day at the office, I feel.
I think the only glimmer of hope I have for Sheffield United fans is if there's going to be a great escape to end all great escapes. I mean, this is the season where it seems no team can remain consistent. They're either really good or really bad. Yeah, 100% agree with what you said there about this being a real relegation scrap. And, you know, West Brom, they've just come out of one relegation scrap, so maybe they'll be a bit more prepared. But what they cannot do is what they did against Fulham, which is not turn up in that first half. West Brom did not play well in that first half at all. And to be truthful, it could be more than 1-0 down by the end of the first 45 minutes. But in the second half, it all changed. West Brom did come out their shell a little bit, and they managed to go ahead. They went 2-1. That first goal took a bit of luck with the deflection for the cross, but the finish was absolutely brilliant. And it was their new signing, their new striker, who was actually taking them forward, and it was him who got the assist. Have you noticed I haven't said his name yet? Because I'm absolutely petrified to say it wrong.
Go on, give it a shot. Him. We want to know.
No, I'm going to call him Mr. D. It sounds dirty, but you know what I mean. It was him who got the assist for the second goal, which I've watched it a few times. Was there a deflection or was it sheer brilliance by Pereira?
Sheer brilliance.
Of course, I got a name.
Sheer brilliance. That man he's shown it previously in the season how good of a player he is. So I'll give him benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough. We'll say brilliance. And then for the second goal, just as with the first goal, you know, there was that moment when they just kind of got dragged to the ball and they just took their eye off of what they needed to do in important moments, which is why they conceded both goals. So they're going to have to defend a bit better against Sheffield United. But on the whole, a much better second half by West Brom.
So score prediction, do you think it's going to be a bit of a nail biter? This is a tough one. I don't know who's going to be more courageous in this game.
No, it is a tough one. But I feel like Sheffield United have got a lot less to lose. But I think this is going to be. I think it's going to end 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-1 Sheffield United.
Next game is Wolves versus Arsenal, and Wolves. They look like a team without confidence at the moment. In that 1-0 loss to Palace, they did not play well in that first half, and they didn't create enough, I think, throughout the game really to really trouble Palace. It wasn't totally without positives. I think their new main striker, Jose, I think he had a few half chances to get on the score sheet, but unfortunately for them, the Crystal Palace goalkeeper was equal to them, and for the goal that they conceded, at first I thought Patricio had made a mistake. I did, but the more I look at it, the more I think that must be such a difficult save to make, because he has to get down low so quickly, because Eze has really pummeled that ball. He has really spanked that thing hard. I'm sounding dirty again.
Just the way you describe things. Yeah, it was I think he had just really short backlift, and he just triggered it, and it felt like it caught the keeper off guard there.
Yeah, so I don't think I blame Patricio too much, but as I say, Wolves at the moment, they do look like a side without confidence, and they really need to pick up the attacking intent that we've seen over the last few seasons, because if they don't, they might see themselves really slipping down the table.
Yeah, I feel their last really good performance was against Arsenal at the Emirates. But Arsenal, a bit of a missed opportunity, I feel, against Man United. Man United created a lot of good chances, and so did Arsenal. I think Arsenal were more the team that was breaking and counter-attacking against Manchester United. It was frustrating. I felt like their best chance was Lacazette's free kick, and I feel like we used up a full season's worth of free kick good luck when Xhaka scored that free kick against Chelsea. So I'm not expecting any free kicks to go in for the rest of the season. But yeah, it was just a case of lacking the cutting edge. We lacked that quality in the final third. Pepe had a few good half chances, but there were only really half chances in the end. Arsenal probably were missing, their golden boy right now in Bukayo Saka, and not having Kieran Tierney as well. I felt Arsenal moving down that left-hand flank was really a struggle for Cedric to fully take advantage of, the overloads on the left. He had to keep cutting back on his right, and it just weren't as penetrative on that left. So tough, but I feel a bit more confident against Wolves coming up.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going for Arsenal 2-0 here. We've got to take advantage of teams in a rut of form.
Yeah, I think I'll go 1-0 Arsenal. I do think at the moment Wolves, they need that bit of luck, just to get their confidence up. But at the moment, I see 1-0 Arsenal.
Next up is Manchester United versus Southampton. And Man United against Arsenal, I feel like they created the better of the chances against Arsenal, and probably will be feeling more frustrated that they didn't take the 3 points and get revenge for Arsenal winning earlier in the season. They had a lot of good chances to take the lead. Bruno, he shot wide, and Rashford weirdly decided not to take a shot, being 5 yards away from goal. That was kind of weird as well. And, Fred also forced Leno into a very good save as well. So, yeah, for Solskjaer, I think he would be frustrated at not winning that game. They didn't have their shooting boots at the end of the day in the first half and a bit in the second half. And it's kind of weird because the last couple of weeks, they've been able to get all these wins because they've been so efficient in front of goal. And they have, at any one time, they always seem like they have 6 match winners on the pitch, and they just couldn't do it. They just lacked that final finish against Arsenal. So it'll be quite frustrating, and it feels like their title challenge has been dampened down a bit.
For Southampton, with that 1-0 loss at Aston Villa, I think they have every right to feel angry about that, and it's for numerous reasons. I think, one, they have themselves to blame. I do think they created the better chances against Aston Villa, but they just did not have their shooting boots. They just kept on missing chances which usually you would see them convert. And then we move on to the other reason where I think they would be quite angry about, and that was the decisions that went against them. There was 2 big ones. One of them was a Matty Cash handball, and if you haven't seen it, for me, it's a penalty all day. His arm does, I think, instinctively, but I do think it moves closer to the ball. And I think as soon as you do that, it's a pen. But obviously, Mike Dean in the VAR room, he does need his name in the newspapers somewhere. And for the Ings offside, for me, look, it's offside is offside. It doesn't matter how kind of close it is. For me, he was offside, so I think there's less reason to feel aggrieved for the Ings offside, but certainly for the Matty Cash handball, they have every right to be upset. And as I say, partly it was down to them. They should have converted some of those chances. And just to add kind of another layer of how much of a bad day at the office it was for Southampton, 2 of their players went off injured around about the hour mark, so not a great day for Southampton.
Score prediction. Who you got with this one?
I'm going 1-0 Manchester United.
I'm going 1-1. I think there's going to be a stalemate here.
Next up is Newcastle versus Crystal Palace, and for Newcastle in their last game, look, I'll be honest with you, Newcastle fans, I had all doom and gloom going on. I really did think that Everton were going to get one over on you guys and take all 3 points, but how wrong was I? Newcastle played really well, and I feel like they proved me wrong through loads of things. Firstly, we saw a high press from Steve Bruce.
Yeah, wow.
I assume he must have accidentally picked up a book on high press at the chippy or something. I'm not sure.
All the Newcastle fans just planted it in every chippy in Newcastle.
But so first Steve Bruce did the high press, and you know what I did think as I was watching that game, Wilson missed a few chances that he really should have converted. I did think it's going to be another one of those games for Newcastle where they should have converted their chances and they're going to end up losing. But you know what? As soon as the kind of half-time whistle went, Wilson was a changed man. That header for the first goal was an absolutely brilliant header, a really difficult one to put away to get that sort of accuracy and power from that distance out from a header. And for the second goal, Everton were throwing all their men forward, but it was still an excellent finish by Wilson. So in the end, it was a fantastic performance by Newcastle, and all 3 points in the bag.
For Crystal Palace, I felt that they really needed that result against Wolves, a struggling team, and Crystal Palace had a few poor results, so they weren't going in this in great form, and I felt like Crystal Palace, I don't think they're in the relegation battle at all, but you do need a healthy buffer away from that scrap or that mess down below, and getting that win I feel was good. Brighton and Newcastle won as well, so it kind of condenses everything from 12th to 17th, which is a worry. But against Wolves, in a game, it wasn't a very good game from both teams. Not a lot of great chances. But Eze, he created that moment of quality. He created that, quick feet, and he thundered that past the keeper. And I've really been impressed by Eze. Just watching his general performance, because he's so tricky. He's able to carry the ball, and he's a good outlet with Zaha on the other side. If he adds goals and assists to his game, I feel like Crystal Palace has unearthed another gem, really. But this will be an interesting game. I feel like if they beat Newcastle, then you can take relegation off the table completely, 100%.
What's your prediction for this one?
A tough one. I'm going 2-2 actually.
Do you know what? I was gonna go for a draw as well, but when you said Palace didn't create that many good chances, I disagree. I thought Palace actually made quite a few or better chances than Wolves. So for that reason,
but
you've driven me towards Palace.
Okay.
So I'm going 2-1 Palace.
Next up is Burnley versus Manchester City. And I feel with Burnley against Chelsea, it was a tough day at the office. It really was tough. Burnley did really well to limit Chelsea to chances and, frustrate Chelsea in that first half. But it was a bit too much in the end. I felt like Chelsea's passing was pretty good, between their midfielders. They popped it around quickly, and they popped it over to the flank, and then they got the overlap, which kind of was too much for Burnley in the end, with Azpilicueta getting the goal. And that goal, do I feel Nick Pope is a bit disappointed with that? Kind of, yeah. Although I feel like As a goalkeeper, is that not a potential weakness? You know, having the ball like in between your head and your arm, because your arm's not fast enough to get there. And I don't feel like any goalkeeper's going to put their face in front of that ball. So, like, it was, I guess it's a great shot, but I mean, I don't want to be too critical of Nick Pope because he's having another solid season. But yeah, it might be a bit too much to ask Burnley to have another performance like that at Anfield. And, you know, Sean Dyche admitted that at the end of the day, the better team won, and it was a difficult day at the office.
For Manchester City, they got that 1-0 win against Sheffield United, but I think 1-0 doesn't sound great against a team that's bottom of the table, against a team that was top of the table. But I actually think it was a very good performance by City, and it was an excellent goal. Now, I know Jesus obviously gets the credit, is his name on the score sheet, but it's Torres who deserves all the credit for that goal, if I'm being honest. You know, the determination to keep the ball, first of all, and then a bit of skill to kind of get past the players, and then to pick out Jesus, who was just hanging around in the 6-yard box to tuck it away. So really, I don't know how they can do that, if they can maybe swap who scored and that, because I definitely feel like Torres deserves more credit than he's got. But it was a very complete performance by Manchester City. They limited Sheffield United to really, hardly any chances for them, and I think Pep will be really happy with that performance.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came down from heaven and scored, and Jesus was on the bench. Okay, score prediction, who you got?
3-0 City.
Yeah, I feel bad because Chris Wood came off injured as well, so it's like their attacking output is severely dampened. So I'm going 4-0 Man City with this one.
Yeah, fair enough. Don't take the piss out of Jesus, man.
Say his name right.
It's not my fault. I get confused because I've got Jose who plays for Wolves, and then I've got Jesus who plays for. Come on, make it easy for me. I'm terrible with names. Next game is Fulham versus Leicester, and in Fulham's last game it was that 2-2 draw against West Brom. And look, I think Fulham just about were the better team, I think, and they only have themselves to blame that they didn't take the 3 points. In that first half, they played really, really well, and they really should have got in more than 1-0 up in that first half. But, they just didn't convert the chances that they had. They only converted one of them, and unfortunately for them, West Brom were able to find themselves back in the game. And I think Fulham didn't defend terribly. Certainly for the first goal, they were a bit unlucky. It took that deflection, which made it really, really difficult for any defender to deal with. And for the second goal, I think they should have really done a little bit better from that. There was 2 West Brom players just ready to kind of tap it in. That really shouldn't have been in that sort of situation. But full credit to them for fighting, getting their way back. It was an excellent cross and an excellent finish for that goal. And another draw for Fulham. They seem to be one of the best teams in the Premier League at the moment at getting draws.
Yeah, for Leicester, that was really disappointing. Brendan Rodgers was very disappointed with the goals that they conceded. And there was an opportunity to be 2 points behind Manchester City, and they didn't take that. I felt like watching that game, I didn't see the Leicester side that I've seen for the last couple of weeks. It's like watching a different side. They went 1-0 up with a very good goal. It was a very good attacking move. But after that, they lost the ball in midfield quite a few times. It seemed to be broken down, and then Leeds just pounced on them. And for that first goal, it looked like only 3 Leeds attackers were really attacking, and Leicester City had 5 players back, but none of them closed down anyone. None of them cut the space for the pass, and Leeds just ran right through them, and it was quite disappointing for Leicester. And similarly for the second goal, lost it again in midfield, and Bamford expertly tucked it away. It's just that's a bit of a clanger for Leicester. I feel hopefully that they can get back to what they were in the previous couple of games, and hopefully, Vardy's not coming back just too soon, but hopefully they can have better performances.
What's your prediction for this one?
I am going Leicester 3-1. I still have faith in Leicester.
Yeah, they are one of the best teams away from home this season. I'm going 2-1 Leicester.
Next up is Leeds versus Everton, and I have to say I was very impressed with Leeds. I was wrong in the end. I predicted a loss, and what I liked from Leeds is that they didn't sulk after conceding that first goal. It was casual defending, it wasn't great, but we'll skip over that. What I did really like was how aggressive Leeds were trying to win the ball in midfield, and they pounced on Leicester, and that man, everything was kind of orchestrated by that man Bamford, who's showing Bielsa said it correctly. He's very generous as a player, and I was thinking about it. Bamford, he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest or strongest, but he has a good frame, very good technically, and he showed like how good he is as an overall player. Providing that assist for his teammates twice, and technically with that second goal. What I love about that goal from that position is most strikers will go for the bottom right, but he's like, no. I might as well go for top bins here, and he absolutely cracked it, top bins. And yeah, it's great. The cherry on top is that they score that classic old FIFA goal, the troll goal, where you pass it like sideways 5 yards and tap it in. So great day at the office for Leeds, and that's the thing. That's what I said last week. You had to set that up with a win against Newcastle for the confidence to get this result, and they did it.
Yeah, well, I agree with everything you said there. And for Everton, it was the complete opposite, really. It was a really bad day for them. And Ancelotti, he essentially said the same thing as soon as he came out in his post-match interview. They did not play well at all. They didn't create enough chances against Newcastle. They really should have done better offensively and defensively. For the goal that they conceded, we'll ignore for a moment like kind of the opportunities that they were giving to Newcastle in the first half. But for the actual goal, you can't give a player like Wilson that sort of space in the box. I know he might have been a bit far out for a header, but he basically had a free header. You can't do that for players as dangerous as Wilson. And for the second goal, I'm not gonna have a go at any team for piling players forward when they're like kind of losing, trying to get that equaliser. So fair play. Everyone went for it. They showed heart. They didn't get the equaliser and they ended up getting counter punched. But fair play to them. But as I say, it was a really bad day at the office. So Ancelotti would be hoping for the complete opposite when it comes to Leeds.
So interesting score prediction here. Leeds are on the up. Everton should be pretty angry at themselves, looking for a bounce back. So who do you got?
I'm not sure because the last few times I've gone for Leeds, I've gone against Leeds and they've won. So a lot of Leeds fans probably want me to go for Leeds. No, go against Leeds, so then we can see them win. But I'm going for a 2-2. I'm going for a
3-2 to Leeds in this one. High scoring game. Let's see. I think it's going to be the game of the weekend.
Next game is the Battle of the Clarets and Blue, if that is even a thing. I feel like I might have just made that up. Carl, will you confirm that to me if I've just made that up? I feel like he mentioned it. If he mentioned it, he's the Aston Villa fan. He should be able to verify that, right? But it's Aston Villa versus West Ham. And in Aston Villa's last game, I think the term smash and grab was essentially made up for that sort of game. I do think Southampton were a better team. I think Southampton created the better chances. But in the end, Aston Villa rode their luck a little bit. We touched on the handball earlier by Matty Cash, but we won't go back into that. We've already kind of covered that. And also the Ings offside. But as I said before, I think that was the right decision. So I don't think Villa were technically lucky in that situation. But what they did have was that little bit of quality that Southampton were missing just to get that goal. And it was a brilliant goal that they did. It was a brilliant ball down the line for Grealish, and it was a brilliant cross, and it was an excellent finish by Barkley. And it really was that moment of quality that was the difference. And I think Dean Smith will take them all day.
Yeah, definitely. It's just still such an impressive season for Aston Villa, because like good teams, like even if you play badly, pick up the points, and this is a prime example of that. For West Ham, it's tough. It was a tough game. Look, it's against Liverpool. I know they had a bit of poor form before, but they look like they're dangerously back to their old self. And Mikel Antonio, I feel like he'll be very disappointed in that chance he missed. He really should have hit the back of the net there. As lucky as he was in the previous game week, hitting the post and having stuff cleared off the line. This time he should have really scored, and I think that's just that difference in quality. Like Antonio missed, and then Salah, he was dancing in on the box, and he scored the goal, which was what started off Liverpool's result at the end of the day. And for Liverpool's second goal, it's a lightning quick counter-attack. It's like top quality counter-attack. So I don't want to be too down on West Ham's defending. Could they have defended that better? Yeah, probably. You could defend anything almost better, but I think Liverpool were just too dangerous on their day.
Yeah, I think people forget that even out of form, Liverpool is still a dangerous Liverpool. But what's your prediction for this one?
I gotta go with Aston Villa. I'm going 2-1 Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's a really tough one for me because I feel like, I think Aston Villa probably can have the lion's share of possession, and whether or not they can break West Ham down and how dangerous West Ham are with set pieces should be a really good game. But I am going for 1-0 Aston Villa.
Next up is Liverpool versus Brighton. And Liverpool, I have to say, they were quite lucky not to concede that very first goal to Mikel Antonio, who just decided to miss the goal completely, which was kind of weird. But that's where the quality of the players came in, really, there. Mikel Antonio misses that, but then Salah goes down the other end and, dances his way into the box, and short back lift and an amazing finish into the back in the top left. And from then on it kind of seemed like it was only going one way, and that lightning quick counter attack was insane. Like highest quality, top quality counter attack. It was a lovely crossover to Salah. But the most amazing thing about that is that Salah controls that ball dead with his weaker foot. And, the goalkeeper, Fabianski, he can't commit to doing anything until he sees what that touch is. If Salah miscontrols it slightly, Fabianski has a chance and he can try and snuff out that chance. But he didn't. Perfect touch and just dinked it around Fabianski, and really that game was over from that then on. And Liverpool struggled previously, but it looks like they're back to their very scary old ways.
Well, for Brighton, fuck's sake, Brighton, I've been backing you guys all season.
The karma is pretty unreal.
And you turn up against my team. My team. Yeah. You turn up against... No, I'm being dramatic. To be fair, they've got, in the last few weeks, they have picked up a few results. And this is just one of those results that they've picked up. And they utterly deserved it. They really did. They outplayed Tottenham. They played really well. They created the better chances. It was a fantastic goal that they scored. And I think what would also be really, really happy for Brighton, or make Potter really happy, should I say, that's Graham, not Harry, is that in the second half, Tottenham really kind of came on to try and get that equaliser, and they defended really well. So I think it was quite an overall good performance by Brighton. I think they'd be really happy with that. And as I say, they deserve the 3 points.
Do you think they can get a scalp against another top 6 team in Liverpool?
I think there's a vast difference between the top 6 if you're comparing Tottenham and Liverpool. Yeah. And I think that might be one scalp too many for Liverpool, which is basically what you're asking me what our prediction is, which is why I am going for 2-0 Liverpool.
I'm going 3-1 Liverpool here, unfortunately.
And that is it for the game week. There is no more football to be played, and there's no results that we need to talk about from the previous game week. We are done. That is it.
You've joined a new different world here, where Tottenham's results don't exist for some reason.
I don't even follow football. I prefer cricket.
Cricket, nicely slow pace, just like Tottenham.
Well, you know what? I'd love to argue with you, but you know what? You're not far from the truth. But the last game of the game week, I will talk about it. The last game of the game week, it is Tottenham versus Chelsea in a London derby. And for Tottenham's last game, we just touched on it in the previous game, But for Tottenham's last game, it was not good by them. I think it was just kind of mistakes all round. I think from Mourinho and from the players, they didn't play well at all. And I know, some Tottenham fans, they're kind of having a go at Mourinho. Some are pointing to the injuries. But I do think, regardless of either of those situations, the performance should have been better. But I don't think they played well enough against Brighton. They took them far too long to kind of actually get a bit of energy in their game and really start fighting for those points. And in the end, they didn't deserve to win or draw in that game. I think it was a really bad day for them.
For Chelsea, first win under the Thomas Tuchel era. It was a very, very solid performance. Very, very solid performance. It had that. It was a 0-0 previously in Wolves, and they dominated possession. Similarly here, but they found the cutting edge. And I liked how Chelsea were able, with the midfielders, to pass it really quickly and then, suck the Burnley defenders in and then flip it over to the flank and then create overloads. And that's how, Chelsea scored in the end. So it feels like a couple more training sessions. The players have absorbed what Thomas Tuchel has asked or demanded of his players. And it must be difficult for teams to face up against Chelsea in these new tactics. So Chelsea got to take advantage whilst they can. And I feel like they could go on a good stretch here in the next 5 games and get quite a lot of wins.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going 2-1 Chelsea here.
For me, you may remember a few weeks ago, I went against Tottenham because everyone was expecting them to win. And now everyone's expecting them to lose. It's just the type of game they would win. So I am going for 1-0 Tottenham.
That is all for this week's score predictions. Make sure you get your results in the survey and we'll see you next week.
Yes, and it's just as a last little thing before we go, we just hope that a lot of you will be in lockdown. All of you are keeping healthy and happy.